just made America's biggest mistake. They drove the workers away. Now the whole country is falling apart. Latest news from the White House. Massive evictions backfired. California farmers watched $2 billion worth of crops rot in the fields. 4,000 farm workers disappeared overnight. Grocery prices up 40% in 2 weeks, and it's only going to get worse. Construction sites in Texas look like ghost towns, half-finished hospitals, schools, bridges, just abandoned there. Contractors say we lost 80% of our workforce in one raid. Seniors in Florida are suffering the most. Nursing homes can't find people to work 30% to 50% staff shortages everywhere. One nursing home has closed forever. These undocumented workers aren't taking jobs. They're doing jobs that no one else wants to do. The streets of LA are now littered with trash restaurants close at 6 p.m. No dishwashers, no cooks, no cleaners. America wants them gone, but forgets who keeps us alive. Is this enforcement, or will the country destroy itself?
This is the consequences when we chose the wrong direction. Oh my God. Yes. It is what it is. Make America great. Yeah, low prices.
But, Mr. President, I just want to hear you clearly. You're saying the people who have been here for years and who have been even paying taxes, you're going to look at them very differently, and maybe they belong here in the workforce?
I want to work with them, and in some cases we're sending them back to their country with a pass back in legally, and we're doing things that are very difficult to do and very complex, but it works really well. We're sending them back, and then they're schooling, they're learning, they're coming in legally. We have a lot of that going on. But we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody. These are these people that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. Naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it? These are very, in many ways, they're very, very special people. Okay, go ahead. We're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody, these are these people that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. Naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it?
This is too fucking weird. So Donald Trump is on CNBC. He's giving this interview. He says, we got to do something about the farmers because he says, we got to have these immigrant farm laborers because people in the inner cities won't do those jobs. What the hell is that supposed to mean? People in the inner cities won't do these jobs. Bro, that's an inside thought, bro. That is crazy. Then he goes on to say, oh, these are workers, they're like nobody else. I said to one of the farm owners, I said, what if this person gets a bad back? And he said, oh, they don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. What are you saying, dude? What is that even, what? And then he said, he keeps going, he's like, no, my approval rating is 71%. And the guy's like, maybe with Republicans. He's like, no, it's 91% with Republicans. It's 71% with everybody. I'm like, bro, what is happening? He's so insane, dude.
I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
I'm going to try to get through this without crying. My name is Louise, and me and my family own a wheat farm in Kansas. We are all certainly lifelong Republicans, and we were so happy to vote for Trump in all 3 of his elections. However, we were certainly not aware that he was going to put a funding freeze on all USAID. 100% of our wheat produce is bought by USAID and shipped out of the country. So our farm is completely bankrupt. We have no customer. We had this whole deal with the US government, and now that is just gone in a second. And we are completely decimated. USAID buys about $2 billion worth of American farmers' goods annually, and every single one of those farms is in the same boat as us now. It's a sinking boat. He didn't consider us at all when he made these decisions, and it would be impossible for any world leader to do something that could negatively affect us more than what Trump has done to us. And we voted for him. I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. My name is Louise, and me and my family own a wheat farm in Kansas. We are all certainly lifelong Republicans, and we were so happy to vote for Trump in all 3 of his elections. However, we were certainly not aware that he was going to put a funding freeze on all USAID. 100% of our wheat produce is bought by USAID and shipped out of the country. So our farm is completely bankrupt. We have no customer. We had this whole deal with the US government, and now that is just gone in a second. And we are completely decimated. USAID buys about $2 billion worth of American farmers' goods annually, and every single one of those farms is in the same boat as us now. It's a sinking boat. He didn't consider us at all when he made these decisions, and it would be impossible for any world leader to do something that could negatively affect us more than what Trump has done to us. And we voted for him.
Hi guys, my name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for always engaging on my videos. Thank you for the likes, the views, and the comments. I see you guys all. So Trump's mass deportations have backfired. Millions of immigrant farm workers were forced out, and now America is losing billions of dollars because crops are rotting in the fields. The very people he claimed would replace them, the inner city black Americans, aren't lining up for those low-paying, back-breaking jobs. You know, the truth is, immigrants have always been the backbone of American farming, and without them, the system is collapsing. If you found this video eye-opening, very helpful, please make sure to hit that like button, give this video a thumbs up, drop your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.
So, did you hear that Trump pulled out a racist trope from the era of American slavery when talking about undocumented workers? Yeah, he was being interviewed on CNBC when he said this about people from Central and South America working on American farms.
These people do it naturally. They don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die.
These people do it naturally. That's precisely what slaveholders said about enslaved African Americans to justify slavery. They claimed the natural place of African Americans in the world was to be enslaved because they naturally had lower intelligence and naturally had bodies that could withstand hard labor, long hours, infectious diseases, and extreme heat. Or as Trump put it, they could be worked almost to death and, quote, they don't get a bad back. According to enslavers, black people occupied a position in the natural order that was a notch or two above livestock, but well below the status of white people. That's clearly how Trump sees the largely Latino workforce laboring on American farms. But Trump wasn't done with the racism. He made it clear that in his ideal world, black Americans would be the ones laboring in those fields. But alas.
You know, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it.
There you have it. Those inner city black people should be doing the farm labor. But according to Trump, they're just too lazy. As he put it, we, white people, have tried everything, but they, black people, refuse to work. So much racism in just a few sentences. And the eggs? Still expensive.
Hey guys, it's Leash. Listen, your president, not mine, has decided that he is going to reverse this whole deportation situation and is suggesting that people come back to America to work these farms and everything. Not saying sorry, not acknowledging that what he did was probably one of the most horrific things you could do to people and families, children, tearing families apart or anything. No, he is basically saying that, the farmers here need help. And so they're going to educate them, get them legally sent back to this country to do the work that he thought the folks in the inner city would have been able to do. Clearly, if you read between those lines, he thought that black people were going to get out in these fields and do the work that the folks that he deported would have done. And to that I say, sir, you are so detached from the people that it is pathetic at this point. How in the hell did you think that black people were going to get in the fields and do that work? Like, is anyone consulting with you? I'm being so serious, y'all, because it's like, sir, most black people are established in some way, which speaks to the lack of understanding and knowledge and whatever else you want to say as it relates to black people and understanding the progression of black people in this country. Not everybody's waiting for some handout and, oh yeah, I'll go work those fields. You're smoking something, sir. And it's not good. It's not good. So yeah, that's your president. He's a hot mess. And yeah.
Oh, MAGA, you're in trouble. Apparently there's a shortage of workers on the farm. But don't worry, MAGA. Brooke Collins, who heads agriculture, says that she has a solution. Seems like Trump and Brooke Collins have put their heads together and come up with a solution to solve the problem on the farms losing workers. Let's watch the video and see what Brooke Collins has to say to solve this issue.
Enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Did you hear that, MAGA? They're saying if you're able-bodied and on Medicaid, you are going to work in the fields. MAGA, this is where it hits you. You're going to work in the fields. And you're going to see what it's like for these undocumented immigrants to come to America and work a hard day's labor in the American fields. Get ready to pack up Mima and Pop-Pop and put them on a bus and send them to the fields, MAGA. That's what you voted for, and that's what you deserve. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments. Have a day.
So Donald Trump, not in these exact words, but basically admitted this week that a lot of the things that he's been doing, a lot of the policies, a lot of the executive orders that he's been signing off on was all made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. It was made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. All right, so on Tuesday, Donald Trump made an appearance, right, on CNBC's Squawk Box. And on that platform, he actually made a lot of commentary in regards to the situation with the deportations, migrant workers, the state of America's agriculture, and he made comments on inner city people not doing farm work. I want you to always remember that when they mention inner city, that means black. In Donald Trump's exact words, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. They don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. He also went on to say that they are very, very, very special people and they cannot be easily replaced. Remember what I said, anytime that they mention the words inner city, Inner city people, inner city communities, inner city neighborhoods, that's black. That's code for black. Black, blackity black, okay? Black people. And it is because of that exact commentary that it reconfirms for me, okay? Not confirms, but reconfirms, meaning that I already knew. But it reconfirms that the plan from the very beginning with these executive orders, right, was to further destabilize black communities, further destabilize poor communities, but black mainly, so that you could put pressure on these communities so that you could get them to go back into the field, right? And then once you get them back in the field, bingo, you've made America great again. Modernize slavery. But black people said, fuck you and this little game that you want to play. Since we are the most valuable player on the scoreboard, we will remove ourselves and let's see if this